I'm 28, male, and HVAC tech. Yeah, I fix AC units for a living. It's not glamorous, but whatever. Long hours crawling through dusty attics and freezing basements pay the bills. My family situation is a complete show. My younger brother, Vincent, 25, male, is the golden child, always has been. Good looks, tech genius vibes, parents who think the sun shines out of his ass. Me? I'm just there, the backup kid, the afterthought. I have this memory from when I was 10, and Vincent was 6. We both wanted this new video game system. I'd been doing chores for months, saving every penny Vincent walks in one day, fake cries to mom about some kid at school bragging about getting one, and the next day, there's a brand new console in his room. When I asked about mine, Dad just said, maybe save up a bit more, sport. Vincent shot me this smug little smile behind their backs. The little shit knew exactly what he was doing, even at 6. This one time in high school, I needed $50 for a field trip. Dad gave me this whole lecture about financial responsibility and made me mow lawns to earn it. That same week, Vincent mentioned wanting a new laptop for coding projects, and they bought him a $1,200 MacBook, no questions asked. When I pointed this out, Mom just said, Vince is using it for his future. Your field trip is just for fun. Yeah, it was a science museum, but whatever. My buddy Bob at work gets it. We were grabbing lunch yesterday after fixing this nightmare of a commercial system at a law firm. 8 hours of diagnostics for what turned out to be a dead squirrel in the ductwork. Lawyers were freaking out because their precious filing room was 82 degrees. Bob showing me pics of this poor crispy squirrel when I get yet another text from Mom about Vincent's latest achievement. Dude, Bob says, shoving half a burrito in his mouth. Your family's more toxic than that black mold we found at the Jensen job. He's not wrong. Speaking of jobs, you wouldn't believe the weird shit we see. Last week I got called to this fancy house in the suburbs. The lady was complaining her AC was making a screaming noise. I'm thinking bearing issue, maybe a belt. Nope. She'd been using her return vent as a mail slot. 3 months of bills, catalogs, and coupons were just sitting in there, blocking airflow. I charged her the standard rate plus the people are idiots tax, as Bob calls it. Family dinners are basically torture. Vincent goes on about his latest promotion, business trips, blah blah blah, some app that's revolutionizing the industry or whatever. Mom hangs on every word like he's Jesus himself. Dad just sits there, nodding, this proud grin on his face, probably already spending Vincent's imaginary millions in his head. Then there's me. I try to talk about my day, and Dad cuts me off. So, Killian, graduated to changing filters yet? Cue the laugh track, Mom's fake little giggle, Vincent's smug chuckle, Dad's full belly laugh. Message received. Killian, the HVAC guy, is the family joke. My senior year of high school, on career day, I mentioned being interested in HVAC. Good money, always in demand. Dad laughed so hard he choked on his coffee. Well, somebody's got to do it, I guess. Vincent, in his freshman year, mentioned maybe getting into programming, and Dad immediately bought him coding books and a new desktop, started telling everyone his son was the next Bill Gates. The contrast was illuminating. It must be real fulfilling, Vincent always adds, spending your days unclogging other people's AC units. Really changing the world there, bro. Then he casually mentions his stock options while Mom practically drools over him. I just sit there, force a smile, push food around my plate, and count the minutes till I can leave. Making a scene isn't my style, so I take their bullshit year after year, just the family punching bag. My apartment's nothing special, a 1-bedroom with mismatched furniture and a fridge that makes weird noises, but it's mine. No judgment, no comparisons to Golden Boy Vincent. Vincent stopped by once, looked around like he was at a zoo. Wow, Killian, real cozy. This is what HVAC money gets you, huh? Guess I'll keep writing code. He laughed and spent the next hour bragging about his downtown loft. I wanted to punch him in the throat, not gonna lie. I've been seeing this girl, Eden, 26, female, for a couple of months. She's a kindergarten teacher. I met her when I was fixing the AC at her school. The principal called in a panic. The kids are melting, like it was life or death. Turned out to be just a tripped breaker. While I'm checking the system, this cute teacher keeps popping in to see if it's fixed yet. The kids are drawing pictures of what hell looks like, she tells me, laughing. It's getting dark in there. I got her number, and we've been dating since. She thinks it's hilarious when I tell her about my jobs. Her favorite is the old lady who kept her thermostat at 64 but wore a parka inside and couldn't figure out why she was cold. Eden met my family once. Big mistake. Vincent spent the whole night explaining tech stuff to her like she was 5. See, the internet is a series of, shut up, dude. She teaches kids but isn't one. Afterwards, she was like, wow, your brother really loves the sound of his own voice, huh? I knew she was a keeper right then. Lately, I've been noticing weird stuff about Vincent's company, though. Nothing major, just little things. His stories don't quite add up. Sometimes he'll mention his team and how big it is, but then slip and say they're understaffed. Or he'll brag about their fancy office but dodge when mom asks to visit. I started seeing articles online too. Tech blogs are questioning their growth numbers. Former employees are leaving suspicious reviews. Bob thinks I'm overthinking it. All tech bros are full of shit, he says. Part of the job description. Maybe, but something feels off. Last Christmas, Vincent gave everyone company swag, t-shirts, water bottles, all with his startup's logo. Dad wore his shirt to the gym the next day, already telling his buddies about his son's company that was about to blow up. Mom put their sticker on her car. Me? I used the water bottle for work. It leaked everywhere day one. Seemed fitting somehow. Yesterday, I fixed the AC at this finance office downtown. I overheard these guys talking about overvalued tech startups and houses of cards waiting to collapse. One mentioned Vincent's company specifically, said their numbers don't pass the smell test. I just kept working, pretended not to hear, but it stuck with me. Maybe karma's finally knocking. Guys like Vincent always land on their feet. Last summer was brutal. Record heat wave. Every AC in town working overtime, which meant I was too. 60-hour weeks, crawling through attics hot enough to cook on, running on Red Bull and Spite. By Friday, I had this one client, a total Karen, who insisted her AC wasn't cooling properly despite the display reading 68. I checked everything. The system was perfect. Finally, I noticed she's got blackout curtains and a space heater running in the corner. A space heater during a heat wave. When I pointed it out, she goes, "Well, I get cold feet, but I like the room cool." I charged her the full diagnostic fee and left before I said something I'd regret. The worst was this lawyer's office downtown. The compressor kept shutting down, but nothing obvious was wrong. I spent hours troubleshooting, finally found the issue. When I explained, the office manager asked if I could just make it work anyway. "Yeah, I'll just violate the laws of thermodynamics for you, no problem." The last thing I wanted was family dinner, but mom kept blowing up my phone all week. Vincent has big news. Every text had that exact phrase, capitals and everything. So I dragged my tired ass over after my last job, barely had time to shower. I walked in, and there's Vincent, sprawled on the sofa, designer jacket tossed beside him like it's nothing. It probably cost more than my monthly rent. He barely looks up from his phone. "Hey Killian, finally get promoted to thermostat installer yet?" Mom does her nervous laugh from the kitchen. Dad straight up chuckles like it's comedy gold. This started when we were kids. On my 16th birthday, all I wanted was tickets to see this band. Instead, I got socks and a Walmart gift card. On Vincent's 16th, Dad gave him the goddamn car. "He's showing real potential," Dad explained, like I was too stupid to understand why they treated us differently. I grabbed a drink and headed to the kitchen. Mom's making Vincent's favorites, not a buffalo wing in sight, even though she knows I love them. Classic. "Killian, honey, you look tired," she says, not actually looking at me. "Vincent's got big news today. Try to be happy for him, okay?" Sure. Vincent has news. Shocker. Dinner starts. Vincent's going on about his latest promotion, waving his fancy smartwatch around. "CEO loved my proposal. Youngest team lead ever. Might get a corner office next month." Mom's practically orgasmic with pride. "That's wonderful, sweetie. Isn't that wonderful, honey?" Dad nods proudly. "That's my boy. Always knew you'd make it big." So I try my luck. Actually got promoted to senior technician last week. Awkward pause. Dad barely looks up. "Wow, Killian, fixing slightly bigger air conditioners. What a milestone." Then they all laugh, even Vincent, with this fake sympathy look that makes me want to flip the table. "Hey, not everyone can code, right?" Vincent adds. "Someone's got to do the grunt work, though. Honestly, bro, you smell like you've been rolling around inside those dusty units all day. Ever heard of deodorant?" I had a flashback to last week, stuck in an attic in 120-degree heat, fixing an evaporator coil while the homeowner kept yelling up, "Is it fixed yet? My electric bill better not go up." Meanwhile, Vincent sits in air-conditioned comfort all day, probably browsing Reddit instead of working, but he's the success story. Mom tuts. "Vincent, be nice. Killian works with his hands." She says it like I clean toilets with them. "Yeah, Killian's job is important," Dad says with a smirk. "Without him, who would we call when the AC breaks? Though, at the rates you guys charge, maybe you should be driving something better than that rusted truck." My truck's a 2010 F-150, not new but reliable, paid off 3 years ago. Meanwhile, I know for a fact Vincent's luxury apartment costs more than he makes. I saw him checking his banking app once. Negative balance. But sure, my truck's the problem. Something in me just snapped. Not rage, more like a quiet click. Like when you're trying to loosen a rusted bolt and it finally gives way. So, I put my fork down, stood up, looked Vincent right in the eye. Enjoy your fantasy while it lasts. The truth always catches up. And for your information, Dad, that rusted truck is paid for. Can't say that about all your fancy shit, can you? Dead silence. Vincent's smug look slipped, just for a second. Then I walked out without another word. It was the first time I'd ever stood up to them. The look on their faces was worth every second of the awkward dinner. I got in my rusted truck and just sat there a minute. My phone started blowing up immediately. I ignored it and called Eden instead. "Hey, how'd it go?" she asked. "Just walked out on family dinner," I told her. "Feels effing amazing." "About time," she laughed. "Want to come over and tell me all about it?" The next few weeks I buried myself in work, extra shifts, toughest jobs, whatever. Mom left voicemails about my attitude problem and how I ruined dinner. I deleted them without listening. Dad texted once, "Your mother is upset. Call her." Yeah, no, Bob's loving the overtime. His girlfriend's pregnant, so he's banking every hour he can. We took on this massive strip mall job, 10 rooftop units, all neglected for years. Climbing up and down ladders all day in 95-degree heat. We found everything from dead birds to a fully intact wasp nest the size of a basketball. Bob took a picture of me holding it with barbecue tongs, captioned it Killian's new family, less toxic than his real one, and sent it to Eden. She made it her phone background. We hit this streak of weird customer issues. One guy insisted his AC was possessed because it turned on at random times. I showed him how his smart thermostat had a schedule function he activated. But then I started noticing weird stuff in local business news about Vincent's company. Employee complaints, financial issues, growth numbers not adding up. Nothing major at first, just little red flags. A buddy from high school who works in tech sent me a link to this industry forum thread about overvalued startups to avoid. Vincent's company was number 3 on the list. The post mentioned high turnover, missed deadlines, and creative accounting. I thought about forwarding it to my parents but decided against it. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I remembered when Vincent was 14 and borrowed Dad's credit card for some online game purchases. He racked up $800. I got blamed first because I was older. When they finally figured out it was Vincent, he cried and said he didn't understand how online payments worked. They grounded him for a weekend. When I was 14 and came home an hour past curfew, I lost car privileges for a month. Different rules always applied. Eden and I are getting pretty serious. She stays over most nights. Her place has roommates, and mine's quieter. One night we're making dinner, and she asked about Vincent. I told her what I've been seeing online. "Sounds like a house of cards," she said, chopping vegetables. "People like that always crash, eventually." Eden's dad owns a plumbing business, so she gets the trades life, respects it. It's a huge change from my family's attitude. Then, boom, Tuesday morning, I'm checking my phone between jobs, and there it is, Vincent's company folded overnight. The CEO and executives are under investigation for fraud, fake earnings reports, fake investment numbers, fake everything. And there's Vincent in a grainy pic, being escorted out, jacket over his face, hiding from reporters. Not gonna lie, part of me felt vindicated. All those years of Vincent the genius and Killian the disappointment. And it turns out Golden Boy was nothing but spray paint all along. Later that day, my phone blew up. Mom, Dad, Vincent. I ignored them all, finished my day. The whole time I was working, they kept blowing up my notifications. I found myself weirdly calm. I checked voicemails that night. Total panic fest. Mom was crying, Dad was demanding I call back. Vincent sounded broken. It was weird how fast they remembered my number once they needed something. I called Dad the next morning. The conversation went exactly like you'd expect. He dropped the bomb. They tied their entire future to Vincent's startup. They refinanced their paid-off house to invest in it. Dad took early retirement, thinking they'd be set for life on Vincent's imaginary millions. Now they're facing foreclosure and debt collectors, all because they bet everything on Golden Boy. When he asked for money, I laughed. I couldn't help it. I reminded him what HVAC guys make, the ones he's been mocking for years. It's not enough to save their house. I remembered when I was 17 and needed $2,000 for technical school application and supplies. Dad said they couldn't help, money was tight. I found out later they'd just given Vincent $5,000 for a coding boot camp he quit after 2 weeks. But money was tight. Bob met me for lunch after I talked to Dad. I told him everything. He just shook his head. "Man, I thought my family was dysfunctional." He ordered an extra plate of nachos, said stress eating is mandatory in these situations. Meanwhile, more details about Vincent's company kept emerging. It turns out they never had a real product, just fancy presentations and projections, classic Silicon Valley vaporware. Vincent had been a low-level developer, not a team lead. Everything was a lie. That weekend, I was working an emergency call at a church. Their AC died right before Sunday service. The pastor kept saying, "The Lord works in mysterious ways." Yeah, buddy, so do 30-year-old condensers when they're not maintained. While I'm waiting for a part, I scrolled through my family's increasingly desperate messages. Mom tried guilt, after all we've done for you. Dad tried demands, this is what family is for. Vincent just begged. Classic roles, same as always. I blocked all their numbers. For the first time in my life, I felt completely free. Eden gets it, though. Her brother was the golden child, too. Some families are toxic, she says. Sometimes, distance is the only healthy option. A month passed. Life settled into a new normal. Work, home, Eden, repeat. It's peaceful without my family's constant judgment. Things with Eden are good. She's practically moved in at this point. Her kindergarten classroom stories somehow make my weird HVAC encounters seem normal. Last week she had a kid who ate a crayon, then puked all over the reading corner. It made my day of fixing a restaurant's walk-in freezer seem downright boring. Work keeps me busy. I've got this regular client, an elderly lady who calls me every month, convinced her system is broken. It never is. She just likes the company, I think. She always has cookies ready, asks about Eden. Last visit, she tried setting me up with her granddaughter until I mentioned having a girlfriend. The disappointment on her face was priceless. I had a nightmare gym job. The owner kept helping, quoting his cousin's friend who knows HVAC. Yeah, where's your cousin's friend now? I nearly dropped a 40-pound motor on him while Bob made faces behind his back. I almost fell off the ladder laughing. Speaking of Bob, his girlfriend had their baby, a little girl. He shows up to work with these massive bags under his eyes but can't stop smiling. He brings in daily photo updates, like we're all dying to see his kid's slightly different facial expression each day. It's annoying but kind of sweet. Dude's happy. Eden thinks we should get a dog. Her school had a therapy dog visit and now she's got puppy fever. I keep telling her my apartment doesn't allow pets, but she's researching pet-friendly housing online. It's moving fast, but it doesn't feel wrong. Then Vincent showed up on a Sunday morning. No warning, no text, just there. I almost didn't recognize him. The designer clothing was gone, same as the perfect hair and smug smile. This Vincent looked like wrinkled khakis, a plain tee, dark circles under his eyes, stubble. He could pass for a homeless guy if you didn't look too close. I let him in, against my better judgment. My place isn't fancy, but it's clean and paid for, unlike wherever he's staying, I bet. He paced around nervously before collapsing on my couch. He launched into this whole confession. He was never as successful as he claimed. He started exaggerating years ago to impress Mom and Dad. The lie got bigger and bigger. He got caught up in the startup's fraud because he was desperate to make his lies real. He convinced Mom and Dad to invest their retirement on promises he knew were bullshit. The irony hit me like a truck. All these years I felt worthless next to him, and he was just living in a fantasy world. It reminded me of what my first HVAC instructor told us. In this job, you can't fake it. A system either works or it doesn't. No amount of bullshit changes physics. Wish someone had told Vincent that about business. Then Vincent got to the real reason for his visit, some crypto scheme he's convinced will fix everything. Mom and Dad are already on board, investing what little they have left. Jesus Christ, are you seriously trying to fix things with another scam? I asked. It's unbelievable. After everything, they're still following Vincent off another cliff. Like that time in high school when Vincent convinced Dad to invest in his friend's revolutionary car detailing business. Dad lost $5,000, but somehow it wasn't Vincent's fault because he was showing entrepreneurial spirit. I told Vincent exactly how stupid this sounded. He left, shoulders slumped. This defeated version of Vincent was so different from the brother I grew up with. I called my parents that night trying to talk sense into them. Mom confirmed they're betting what little they have left on Vincent's new opportunity. Of course they are. They'll never learn. Eden watched me pace around the apartment after the call, pointed out that I can't save people who don't want saving. She said my parents are adults making their own choices, bad ones, but still their choices. She's right, but it still bothers me, not because I care about their money, but because the pattern is so frustratingly familiar. Vincent screws up, they enable him, repeat forever. 2 weeks later, Bob's cousin, who works at a bank, texted him about my parents trying to take out a high-interest loan against their car. Word travels fast in small towns. They're all in on Vincent's scheme, apparently a last-ditch effort. I emailed them links to articles about crypto scams. Dad replied with one word, noted. Translation, piss off, we're not listening. Another week passed. I was under some rich guy's deck fixing his pool house AC when my phone notifications blew up. Vincent's crypto investment crashed. Surprise, surprise, shocker. Eden met me for lunch, asked if I was going to call my parents. I just shook my head. What's there to say? Told you so? That night, scrolling through my parents' desperate texts, I saw they'd lost everything, savings, borrowed money, the works. They're being evicted next week. Dad's health is supposedly declining from stress, and somehow, they've decided this is all my fault because I didn't stop them, because I didn't bail them out, because I wasn't a team player. The mental gymnastics would be impressive if they weren't so infuriating. Vincent disappeared completely, left some dramatic note about making things right and coming back when he fixes everything. Classic Vincent, running away but making it sound heroic. 3 weeks after the crypto disaster, my parents showed up unannounced. I spotted their car from my window as I was getting ready for work. Perfect timing, as always. They followed me to my truck, practically ambushing me in the parking lot. Dad looked terrible, face gaunt, clothes wrinkled. Mom's wearing her martyr face, the look how much I suffer expression designed to maximize guilt. Dad started in immediately about my responsibility to family while Mom nodded along. When I didn't offer money, Dad's tone shifted from guilt-tripping to outright accusation. Suddenly, I'm the villain in their story, the heartless son who abandoned his family in their time of need. They followed me all the way to my apartment door, getting louder, more desperate. I let them in just to avoid making a scene for my neighbors. Big mistake. Inside, it got worse. Dad shouting about how I could have prevented all this if I just helped when they first asked, if I wasn't so jealous of Vincent, if I was a real son. Mom's crying those manipulative tears that never quite reach her eyes. You could have prevented this, Dad yelled, jabbing a finger at me. We're about to be homeless because you couldn't set aside your petty jealousy. Jealousy? I laughed. That's rich. 28 years of treating me like second-class family, and now I'm supposed to bail you out? We gave you everything, Mom sobbed. A roof over your head, food. You gave Vincent everything. I got the leftovers. Dad's face went red. That's not true. We supported your little career. My little career, the one that has me debt-free while they're begging for handouts. Then she dropped the bombshell about Dad's heart condition. It was the first I'd heard of it, conveniently timed for maximum guilt. I asked when he was diagnosed. They exchanged that quick glance that always means they're bullshitting. When exactly was this heart condition diagnosed, Dad? The doctor said. He stammered. Which doctor? When? That's when I'd had enough. I told them exactly what I thought about their parenting, their golden child worship, and their financial decisions. I told them they made their choice when they bet everything on Vincent and his lies, again and again. They're on their own. Their shocked faces almost made me waver, almost. I held my ground as they gathered their things and left. Mom's parting shot about me being no son of hers didn't hurt like she thought it would. It just confirmed what I've always known. I changed my number the next day, installed a security camera, and warned my building manager about them. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty about cutting contact. Bob thinks I'm being too harsh with my parents. His family's tight, he can't imagine cutting them off. It's an easy perspective when your family actually gives a damn about you. Just meet them for coffee, he suggested while we were restocking the van. Neutral ground, public place. They can't make a scene. Clearly, he's never seen my mother's public meltdowns. The woman could win an Oscar. A week later, I got a certified letter from my dad. I skimmed it, more guilt-tripping, vague health concerns, and finally the real point. They need $5,000 for first and last month's rent on a new place. I returned it to sender, unopened. Work kept me busy, thankfully. Eden's been dropping hints about moving in officially. It makes sense. She's here most nights anyway. We started looking at bigger apartments, maybe even houses. I never thought I'd be in a position to buy property, but HVAC pays better than my family ever acknowledged. I got a weird call from my aunt, Mom's sister. She's fed up with my parents staying with her. Apparently, they've turned her guest room into command central for Operation Guilt Killian. They have a spreadsheet of manipulation tactics and everything. My aunt thinks it's ridiculous, hence the call. I've always liked her. Bob's baby is keeping him up all night. He shows up to work like a zombie most days. Still insists it's worth it. You should try it, man. Being a dad changes everything. Hard pass for now, thanks. A month after the showdown, my parents escalated. They started contacting my employer, claiming I'm stealing from them. They called my boss 7 times, but he knows me too well to believe it, just gave me a heads up. They tried Eden's school next, left messages about me being unstable. The principal was confused but supportive. Their desperation is reaching new heights. The irony isn't lost on me. All those years, they treated me like the unreliable one, and now they're the ones pulling unhinged stunts. Eden suggested getting a restraining order. It seems extreme, but their behavior is getting unpredictable. I keep the paperwork ready, just in case. Meanwhile, no word from Vincent. He vanished completely. 6 weeks after the crypto collapse, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Vincent, calling from Arizona, of all places. He claims he's working construction, if you can believe it. LOL, the golden child, laying bricks and pouring concrete. Karma's a beautiful thing sometimes. He said the construction work is humbling, and he's learning the value of honest labor. I wanted to laugh at the irony, but honestly just felt tired of the whole situation. I remembered Vincent mocking my career choice for years. Manual labor is for people who can't think for a living, he once said at Thanksgiving dinner. Now he's lugging bricks in the Arizona heat. Funny how life works out. Eden thinks his construction story is bullshit. People like him don't change that fundamentally, she said. She might be right, but the mental image of Vincent with a hard hat and blisters is too satisfying to question. Life settled into a rhythm without my family drama. Work, home, Eden, occasional beers with Bob. It's peaceful. I started thinking about the future in a way I never could before. Career growth, relationship goals, maybe even my own business someday. Then, just when things were calm, my doorbell rang one Tuesday evening. It was Vincent in person this time, looking even worse than before if that's possible. Vincent stood in my doorway, looking like absolute hell, thinner, older, none of that cocky swagger left. Eden gave me a look and headed to the kitchen to give us space. I let Vincent in. He shuffled around awkwardly, eyes taking in our apartment. It's nothing fancy but comfortable and paid for. He looked like a ghost of himself. Worn jeans, faded tee, thinning hair with some gray in it. It was hard to believe this was the same guy who once made fun of my Target clearance rack wardrobe. He launched into his Arizona construction story, claimed he's been hauling concrete and installing drywall for minimum wage. He said his foreman's a hard-ass who makes him redo everything 3 times. He described blisters, sunburns, and exhaustion in vivid detail. You should see my hands, he said, shoving his palms in my face. I've got calluses on my calluses. Wow, you want a medal for doing what millions of people do every day? Should I throw a parade because you discovered manual labor exists? Bet you never thought you'd see me doing construction, huh? He asked with a self-deprecating laugh. Actually, I never thought about you at all, I replied. His face fell, just enough to be satisfying. I couldn't help but enjoy the irony. The same guy who once said HVAC is for people who couldn't hack it in the real world was now learning just how hard physical work actually is. When he showed me his calloused hands like they were war wounds, I nearly laughed out loud. Welcome to my world, buddy. I remembered sophomore year of high school when Vincent told everyone my HVAC career goal was because I wasn't smart enough for college. Now, Mr. Stanford dropout was discovering that physical labor isn't the easy option he thought it was. He got to the real point eventually. Our parents are worse off than ever. My aunt kicked them out. Dad's health actually is deteriorating. Heart problems from stress. They're living in some sketchy motel, barely making rent from Dad's disability checks. I felt that familiar twinge of guilt, then remembered all the years of being treated like the family failure. I remember Dad laughing when I explained how certification works in HVAC, so they give you a gold star for changing filters correctly? He'd never have dared say that to Vincent about coding. Vincent claimed he's sending what little he makes to them, but it's not enough. He said they asked him to talk to me because they're desperate. No surprise there. They've always used Vincent as their ambassador when they wanted something. They don't know I'm here, he admitted, staring at the floor. I had to see for myself if you were doing okay. Right, because you've always been so concerned about my well-being. Definitely not because you need something and to ask for money, I added flatly. He winced. The conversation shifted when Vincent admitted something unexpected. He said he was always jealous of me, claimed I had something real, actual skills, a clear path, confidence in my abilities, while he was faking everything, terrified of being exposed as a fraud. Eden brought drinks, stayed for a few minutes to assess the situation, then tactfully disappeared to take a shower. Vincent watched her leave, commented on how nice she seems. At least he got that right. He made his pitch, not asking me to forgive them or him, just to help our parents with a place to stay. He said they've changed, that losing everything has humbled them. They talk about you differently now, he said. Dad, especially. He mentions your job like it's something to be proud of. Amazing how bankruptcy suddenly makes my career respectable. Financial rock bottom is one hell of a perspective shifter. That's convenient timing, I said. Years of mockery, then suddenly I'm worth respecting when they need cash. Vincent sighed. I deserve that. We all do. But they're still our parents. Biology doesn't entitle them to anything. I told him I'd think about it. It was all I could offer right now. He accepted this, looking relieved to not get an outright no. He handed me their motel info and his new number before leaving. I spent the week thinking about it. Meanwhile, work kept me grounded. Bob's got his own drama. The baby has colic and no one's sleeping. He showed up with his shirt on inside out, didn't notice until lunchtime. He still said it's worth it, though. Hardest job I've ever loved, he claimed through a massive yawn. Eden's been researching resources for seniors in crisis. She didn't push me either way, just provided information. Whatever you decide, she said, do it on your terms, not theirs. Smart woman. So, I made my decision a week later. I didn't call Vincent or my parents. Instead, I contacted a social worker in their area, explained the situation, and arranged assistance with housing applications, medical resources for Dad, and job placement services for Mom. I paid 3 months' rent on a basic apartment near the hospital. What I didn't do, give them my address or invite them back into my life. Some bridges stay burned, and that's fine. Vincent texted his thanks, a surprisingly humble reply. I simply replied, did it my way this time. They need to stand on their own feet. Life moved forward. Eden and I got engaged. Nothing fancy, just dinner at her favorite restaurant and a simple ring I saved for. She cried happy tears, said yes immediately. Her family's thrilled. They actually like me. It's a weird concept. The big change came when my boss retired. He offered to sell me his client list and equipment at a reasonable price. It was a terrifying prospect, but exciting too. Eden crunched the numbers, said it made financial sense. I took the plunge and started Cold Front Solutions. The first few months of business ownership were a nightmare, but slowly things improved. I landed a major contract with an office complex, hired 3 solid techs who actually show up on time and know what they're doing. Bob came to work for me, bringing his expertise in client relationships. The business started to stabilize. The funniest HVAC call of my career happened during this time. I got an emergency request from this fancy country club. Their system's down during a major event. I arrived to find Vincent there, wearing a catering staff uniform, sweating bullets in the kitchen heat. He didn't see me. I just watched him for a minute, carrying trays and being ordered around by the chef. From tech startup golden boy to server in 6 months. I fixed the AC and left without saying hello. Some things are better left unacknowledged. My parents are doing okay from what I hear. Dad's health improved once they had stable housing. Mom found work at a library. They send birthday cards through Eden's email. She's my unofficial family buffer now. We bought a house near Eden's school, 3 bedrooms, decent yard, good neighborhood. As I'm installing a top-of-the-line HVAC system, perks of the job, I can't help thinking about how far I've come. Vincent's still in Arizona, doing construction. He seems to have made peace with it, sends occasional updates, always respectful of my boundaries. His last message included a photo of him and his crew finishing a wall. The guy actually looked proud of physical labor. I never thought I'd see the day. Maybe someday we'll have a real relationship again, maybe not. For the first time in my life, that decision is entirely mine to make, and that's the real victory here. Not watching them fall, but finally standing on my own. Some might call it petty to enjoy the reversal of fortunes, maybe it is. But after being the family joke for so long, it's pretty damn satisfying to be the only one with my shit together. The HVAC guy they mocked now runs a growing business, while the tech genius who couldn't shut up about his stock options sweats his ass off hauling concrete for some foreman who treats him like dirt. Life's weird like that. Sometimes the best revenge isn't some dramatic showdown. It's just living well and letting reality do the work for you.